Yeah.
Sorry, I just got excited. I'm like activated like a little dog.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Sureni Weerasekera. I am here with Kids of Immigrants. Yay! We got Weleh Dennis, co-founder. We got Daniel Buezo, co-founder. We got Debbie Gonzales, head of community and creative. Well, first of all, let me give you your flowers for a second. To call y'all a clothing brand would be just scratching the surface. Y'all are movement, a verb. You are creators with a direct and loving relationship with your immediate LA and greater global community. And I would love for you to introduce yourselves with your name. And I feel like in the context of being an immigrant kid, like what you actually do for work and what your parents think you do for work. You know?
First of all, thank you. I'm like, wow, that was a beautiful intro and just
you.
I think a beautiful reflection of all the work. I think we do it heads down, and to hear it all was beautiful. So thank you. I'm Debbie Gonzales, first generation Mexican American, and I think my parents think I'm a hustler of some sort, of some type. I think now, having been at a lot of our events and bringing them in as talent or whatever, they understand that I'm in a creative field and maybe a boss of some sort, but not. I think they'll never fully grasp what it is.
My name is Daniel Buezo, and my parents are from Honduras, and they know I am into clothing. So one day they think I make t-shirts, which they don't understand because my mom used to be a tailor. So she was like, "Oh, you make suits and dresses?" And I was like, "No, more like a t-shirt." She's like, "You make t-shirts?" So
she's like, "You guys want t-shirts?"
And then my father thinks I make shoes the next day, and it's like, no, it's not really me.
Yeah.
We design the shoes, but we don't make the shoes. Right. So I think they know that we're doing something creative, but I don't think they understand what creativity means for my generation, or at least for me. Yeah. So I think they're still just trying to cheer me on as best as they can with what they understand.
And my name is Weleh Dennis. Parents are originally from Liberia, and co-founder. And what my parents pretty hip to what I do.
Okay.
I think it's just more so they're more so, am I happy?
Yeah.
Am I making a living? And am I happy? They've been supporting us from day one, so they always ask like, is he healthy, things like that, or like, how's he doing? And
your mom opened up her own shop too in the past, and
and we did like
so
since we started. So like even since we started, like what Dee's saying is like my parents and my siblings have went off and become entrepreneurs in their own ways. Where my sister does importing and designing from Africa, Senegal to be specific, and other places. And then my mom had her own shop, and she's more of the entrepreneur spirit in the family as well.
Wow.
So it was cool. We even did like a small business segment with her, and she was super proud to like have us there. And we brought the whole camera crew, and that just, my dad's super shy, but it just made him feel special. Our goal is to like uplift our community and our people based on like the efforts they give to each other.
Absolutely.
So it's really cool to have your parents almost be spotlighted through us like heroes, because that's how I see them.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Santulan's news magazine is centered around like the concept of home is here, a celebration and reclamation of parks. Did your family take you to parks? Like, what was your relationship to parks and nature growing up?
Ooh, yeah, definitely. My dad is, and still is, like adventure dad. So we always went somewhere every weekend.
Whoa, wow.
Whether it was nature, whether it was like trying different sports, or, it was never like the newest motorcycle or the newest anything, but it was like we were, we felt like we had a little bit of everything and could experience, like maybe it wasn't a Disneyland trip, but it was trip to the lake, that's what we could afford. But they had a beautiful way of like giving us everything, even though technically, on paper it wasn't the shiniest thing or like the most expensive thing. It was just like the joy and like us all being together and just like experiencing something new was a huge part of how I grew up. And I think that's still like prevalent in like how we are as adults now, and just like exploring and like craving that, because it feels so like so nostalgic, but it's like such a huge part of home, and I think what grounds us all.
Wow.
That for a while was like our safe haven.
People talk about third places a lot, and like New York, I hear people say that it's it's the sidewalk. That is your third place. You play dominoes on the street. You post up. You bring a little drinky. You know, you post up. I mean, that makes total sense to me. Like, I also relate to like, not my family not really taking me out to nature. I can count on one hand how many times we went to the beach or went to the park. Really, like, it just wasn't in our nature. And then we were definitely not camping. We were not camping. I feel like my family, as immigrants, they grew up very poor. They were like, camping is like cosplaying homelessness. They're like, why are we camping? You know, and I feel sad. I feel like it's in my adulthood have I been like coming back to nature and realizing, wait, nature's really good for you. Actually, go figure. Because I think we know like nature's very racialized, and I want to talk about like because we know of things like gerrymandering pools and parks out of low income neighborhoods or neighborhoods of color. Like it's no surprise that a lot of black and brown neighborhoods play soccer because you just need one ball. You know what I mean? There's like, we talk about like equipment, accessibility, you know? You only need one ball, two legs, you don't even need two arms, okay? And there's more initiatives to get people of color outside and in nature, which is ironic because I think indigenous people have historically been known to live symbiotically with the land. So it's really beautiful to hear ways that you guys are kind of reclaiming the outdoors as an adult. Weleh, I also want to hear like about your relationship to the outdoors.
Well, it put me up on the
What?
outdoor space.
Yeah?
Like he would go to the beach and be like, bro, like it's a reset.
And he's got this like Zen nature about him. He's just like, nah, you gotta go to the beach, like, you know. And then it makes, because yeah, first I feel like if you grew up in a city, you're like, I gotta get sand where? Like, I want to find sand on my butt crack. Like, I don't want to go to the beach. But then like you know you go and you're like, wait, this is kind of nice. This is kind of a reset.
So my mom grew up and her family had a farm. So
Wow.
the idea of nature's kind of not an idea versus like a necessity. Like you have to, it's a part of life.
Yeah.
So I just think, you know, my mom was very forward about that, and I was super blessed from the neighborhood that I grew up in had a community center at the time. Salvation Army had it, like they built like a state of the art community center. So they had like a summer camp program where, you know, my mom being who she is like, I want you to be able to go there and have, we need to make the money, I'll make the money. So she was very adamant about us being around nature and outside just from her having that, you know, like her growing up in Liberia, there was a corner store that had a baboon in the front of it, or they used to have squirrels as pets and, you know, all these different things. And so also too, coming from Africa and the social structure of America growing up, it's like African, we were seen as being outdoors. So that's not really a thing I have in the context of my immigrant experience.
Yeah.
You know, like people saw like, your parents chase lions or zebras or something like that. Like at that time, that was more the sight of it. So it's like it's interesting to see people looking for nature now because I don't know anything different, you know. And it's good. It's balance, like you guys are saying. It's finding peace, and I think in a city it's really hard to find peace. That's why I admire my brother right here, because that we just being in like major cities like this. Even though I was in San Francisco for 10 years, I think it's there just has to be a balance about it, you know. There has to be moments where you have boredom, you know. Boredom isn't a bad thing. I was talking to somebody about it yesterday. It's like boredom is like, I feel like when people try to make kids sit and meditate, it's like I just started understanding what meditation is. But if I really look back at my upbringing, my boredom was the time where I allowed my mind to speak to me and to imagine things that my immediate environment couldn't produce. So, you know, boredom's not really a bad thing. And I think we need a little bit more of it, you know.
Yeah.
Bars.
Yeah. No, that's so real. KOI is coming up on 10 years. What did KOI start with and what does KOI have now? How has that changed your access and your ability to create?
Yeah, it started in 2016 officially. Started in 2015 unofficially in my living room with Weleh. The conversation was already ongoing at that time, but in 2015, we were like, let's really figure this out.
Yeah.
And do the best you can with what you have. That was our everyday motto. That was just like, you know, what Weleh would call the immigrant ingenuity. It was just like, let's just figure it out.
Yes.
The only answer is that we will do this. You know, and we weren't taking no for an answer from ourselves. It was really like it's only you stopping you.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, the obstacles and challenges and all the blockers that came along the way we really try to use those as like proof that we're supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
And just change that mindset. Like we would go vintage shopping at thrift store, Salvation Army,
Yeah.
and do all that stuff.
No. Because the first year, 52 weeks for a full year,
yeah.
we did a shoot every single week. We had a product
Whoa.
up for sale every single week.
That's crazy.
And
That's such an accomplishment.
when I love hearing that, and I love like the fact that but I also don't think people understand like the level of production that every week, if there was something to be sold, he had to find the models, find the location, find the photographer, and it's like you gotta think that hyper production every week for 52 weeks. So sometimes when I see
We
other
went 56.
sorry 56 because
No, we did a whole year, and then we were like, we kept going, and we were like, yeah, let's take a break.
Because we started getting this into printables too, so it was more like we were printing more, so we could actually like
you were printing the shirts yourselves?
before it was painting them.
Wow.
Sewing.
I heard about the sewing. You were painting them too?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So the first was painting, then we went to sewing, then we went to getting other people to sew with us.
Yeah.
And not sewers, just other friends.
Yeah.
And then we ended up going into screen print. And that was like even just the step into screen print was a big
That's a huge step.
huge deal.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta delegate.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It costs more.
But the idea of like actually putting a shoot together, finding these different models, you know, our first year we had a pop-up at opening ceremony at the time, and that's like unheard of for like basically a DIY company to have a pop-up with like people that are actually in the industry.
Wow.
You know, blessed to have friends that are there too, but it was just like, and the whole reason we even did it there was to give money that we already didn't have to an organization, actually Inner City Arts, that's in the Arts District that supports youth within a 5-mile radius of Skid Row.
Yeah.
You know, for us to have our efforts go towards 3D printing machines at the time, like I just felt like we were doing the right thing, and it just carried over, you know.
It's
So
also unheard of. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys really pioneered that. I feel like in terms of like creating a product, and then also like it benefiting not the brand, but others. You know, I think that community comes through, like, was born like out of this one, utilizing your creativity to not only help yourself but like your community and others. So I think that was like a huge foundation of like what you see now as a brand who you know gets categorized as community and all these great things, but like that was the inception. Being there, that was like the inception of kind of what now has been coined as like community, or like marketed as community. It's always been part of the ethos of the brand.
Yeah, I think 10 years later, it's I think like for us, the growth of, you know, having a brand, marketing, and like the social, this like intersection of branding and marketing with social impact. 10 years later, with more resources, with more access, we're just leveling it up all the way. So in every space that we're in, it's important that we, you know, become that bridge to our community.
I mean, it's so beautiful to hear that it's never not been a core concept to bring community with you. Because I feel like a lot of companies, they get big and they're like, I guess we should donate, you know? And you guys have been doing that since day one. And like, you've been involving the community since day one. And that's incredible.
I went to school for social work, so that was
there it is.
When Weleh and I met, it was like I did retail my whole life, so that was another like thing me and him had. Like we both did retail.
at every level.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and you know, for me growing up, I always thought that people didn't do better because they didn't know better, and I went through a lot of different hardships with family and friends, losing them, and or friends that are in jail for the rest of their lives. And I felt like social work was like, hey, how do I do something to like, one, maybe save the younger version of myself, you know, in my heart, but also, you know, I think like losing a sister in, you know, while she was in jail, like that was like, yo, she wasn't a bad person. Like these are things that she just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I think that's where like the social work came from. But then, you know, when we started, it was like there's a way to do social work maybe in our own way. And it was really dope to like, you know, have Weleh be super supportive, that he's like, yo, a brand that supports the community 10 years ago was not very common the way it is today. I'm not saying that we were the first, but it wasn't something that you saw all the time. And then, you know, to have Weleh be like, yo, let's figure that out. I'll make the clothes and you figure out how it impacts the community. And
That's a dream too,
and then you build a team, and you have Debbie and you have Christian, and
Of course.
you know, people who are like, yo, I like this. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we can.
You know, you're offering support for the generation after you. Who supported you guys when you were coming up?
Career wise, it was just someone taking a bet on me. And I feel like that really, I mean, when someone sees something in you that you may or may not see, or you just need that extra boost of you can do it, you know? Or even just like I was introduced to styling out of just asking questions and volunteering one day at a fashion show. So it was like asking took me to that person that changed my life, you know? So I feel like that's something that I'll forever be grateful for, and continue to ask questions and, you know, try to find that within myself so that I can give it to the next person.
Yeah. I mean, it's so incredible to your past self, like a gift you gave to your future self of like putting yourself in an opportunity where you're doing some free work, but you're like, you asked, you know what I mean, to do that, and you put yourself in a position of opportunity. Because I feel like one motto I live by is like, if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. And I try to ask. I try to put myself in a position to like learn and grow, and you gave yourself that gift. Do you also want to speak on anyone who has supported you, helped you?
And I've been super blessed. So like I think from a young age I've had many mothers, so to speak. Mom, I love you, Margaret Dennis. That's my only mom. You know, I'm not saying it like that, but just like very nurturing people. Like, I mean, I'm a daycare baby, so like my parents worked so much, so I was the first one dropped off in the morning and the last one picked up at the end of the day. So like through school, there's a lady named Lourdes Brajas who damn near raised me from kindergarten to 8th grade. And I've had teachers like Kathy Brandon that wanted to send me to a certain type of school that, you know, I mean,
remember the first name,
you know, or like even like, you know, having male figures like a John Black or a Brother Ray. I had all these different people that came through my life that, you know, my parents had to hand me over to them. So she had to trust in the community, neighborhood, hood, whatever you want to title you want to put on it. But that's, I think, why the whole Kids of Immigrants thing seems so natural to me, is because I've had so many different ethnicities accept me into their home and love on me and nurture me to be the man I am. So it's hard to like really look at, like, I love that everyone has an ethnicity, but it doesn't disguise the character. So regardless of what your ethnicity is, if your character shines, then we're kind of gonna align or like find a way to work together. Because literally I've seen people work with my family that are from Russia to India to it doesn't matter, like we all were trying to make it in America. So
Similar
you align with like cultures that align with you, and you guys are trying to have things that, you know, the better life for your kids. You know, I've met a lot of families that want that. That's the connection that I had versus like the foods we eat. It's cool, introduce me, but it's not necessarily going to align the end goal, which is a successful life, a good life, a happy life. You know, and as I grow older, one thing I see synonymous with a lot of our parents and people that helped me, it was just like they just want us to be happy. And I find it harder and harder for us to be happy at times, but at the same time I just think it's like gratitude is a word we use a lot. So that gratitude, if you can have it every day, gets you to whine less. It gets you to point out the things that you don't have and to really, you know, appreciate the things you do. And like that's something we started with, was like the little we had is why our story is what, you know, blooming into what it is, because everyone has that seed. It's just, do you want to nurture it? You know, so we love talking about it, but action is like the only resolve. So yeah, these are all things that we want to try to impute in our own neighborhood and on people that I've been blessed to have. People that I'm not their child, but they fed me and put me to bed like I was their kid on the basis of my parents being who they are and trusting in them.
The fact that you're so blessed that your parents trusted the community. Because I feel that I can't personally relate to that experience, where I think some immigrant parents have a alternate option, which is they have a distrust of their community because it's a new place and they don't know anyone, and they're like, I don't know y'all, you're not my culture, like, you know. So I think my parents went the other way, but to hear that your parents gave you the example of what it looks like to have trust in your community, to have them watch you, you know what I mean, that kind of set the onus for you to want to give back because you received so much as a kid. So like it's in your blood to want to give back, and like I don't know, I think that's really like I feel jealous hearing you talk, but then I'm also like, no, that's how I'm gonna live my life, you know, going forward.
I feel like Weleh's perspective is also that way. When he says he starts his day with gratitude, it's his perspective of like, doesn't mean when he's saying super blessed, it means a lot of challenges.
No,
with
of course,
that.
of course.
But he was always the mindset that he's also embedded into the culture of this brand internally, and how we want to look at our community, how we want to look at a place like LA that is going through very dark times, and how do we, you know, fight the fight in our way through this place of gratitude, through this place of like, we don't know what the answer is, and we might feel hopeless today, but we have to be in gratitude. We have to figure out ways to keep the energy of our community, you know, in a great place, or in the best way possible that it can be today with everything that's going on. And that's not an easy task when the news and the media and the constant fear and the constant just things that we're being fed, it's really hard. And we, you know, at least for myself, I go through it with days like I don't even know what to think or say or do. But you know, when you have this type of support here and internally, where someone's gonna try to make you look at the light in the day, regardless of how dark it is, it allows us to be that vessel and to be those people for our community. If we are somewhat pioneers or leaders or anything in that nature, if we lose hope, then our people lose hope. So I feel like for us it's important to stay in that level of thinking regardless of how dark it gets. And it's not easy, and I don't go against anyone's truth or reality, but you know, it's just part of what we have to do to have this brand reach 10 years and to make this word immigrant so beautiful the way that I believe that we've attempted and have done it for so long.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 O's, obstacles are options for opportunities.
Yeah.
Just
Go
remember,
off, say that.
it's like, that's just what it is. You know, it's not trying to be rhymey. It's just realistically, life is obstacles. If you look at them as a setback, they will be a setback. If you look at them as a new opportunity to overcome, that's how you become great.
Yes.
You know, if you know that, you're going to be okay.
I would love to hear about, you know, like creatively, collaboratively, like what are some of your goals? Is there any like future projects you're like excited to be taking on?
It's 10 years, so I feel like we are growing as people. Like I was 28 years old when I started the brand.
Wow.
Weleh was, you know, in his 20s as well. Debbie, we're all in our 20s.
Little babies.
You know, I'm 37 now, but I think Weleh and I have been talking about the future a lot, and we're manifesting a physical space. We're manifesting a nonprofit.
Whoa.
And I think the word that Weleh brought back, which is crazy because we would talk about this 9 years ago, is the bridge. We want to continue to be the bridge, to be a platform, to be this place where our community gets to empathize with different cultures. Like Kids of Immigrants is multi-generational brand, is a multicultural brand. And how do we continue to create this space where in a way our community could travel into different cultures and learn about different people, and learning about themselves in ways that wasn't before highlighted. I think there's, you know, I said maybe the two main things, the physical space and the nonprofit,
those are
but
big ones,
I think it's continuing to provide that space in a way that is now for the next generation. You know, it's like we're in a, I think for me, if one day, you know, the next generation can come and we can be that vessel for them to have a space to create, educate, and storytell, it would be amazing.
We're the OGs now, so we're really inspired by the next generation. And I don't say it as like, you know, speaking above them, but it's more of like, we see you, we're peers, and any way we can help and support, I think is like the least that we can do.
We made a shirt. Well, Wella made the shirt. Support your friends too.
Yeah.
That was
That's a big one.
That was the 9 years ago, and he created it through collaging thrifted pieces. Like support your friends. The original shirt is 3 shirts in one, where he said support yours from one shirt, friends from another.
Wow.
Put it on the 3rd shirt, and it was like a true, just another manifestation of like the brand. It was like I would have thought we would talk about not worrying about the people who don't support us and just focus on the people who do.
Yeah.
And that started with all of
Wow, thank you all so much for coming in today. Wella, Daniel, Debbie. I also want to shout out Lilibeth, who helped me write these questions. Saúl is helping on set. Ash with Santulan, Max, Sean. My name's Sureni. This has been truly beautiful. And
Is this your first interview?
this is my first interview.
Wow.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Oh my God.
Great
Oh
job
my God.
to you.
Exactly.
Thank you. Let me call my mom. Actually, let me record this too. Tell my mom. No, thank you guys so much for taking the time. I know the interview went a little bit long, but it's my heart is very full. I got emotional at one point, but I'm also like I cry easy, so don't be that impressed. And I'm just very grateful to you all, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And congrats on 10 years, man. That's huge. And to 20 years, you're gonna live forever, Daniel. Don't worry. And take care, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm wishing for, it sounds very simple, but
Big space of belonging.
Finding peace.
My life, my roots, my family.
I know sometimes life can be tough.
our safe haven.
Just remember that I'm here to cheer you
Our
on.
community. Kids of Immigrants.